let's talk about different kinds of work. Okay, let's talk about how you make money in different kinds of work. And very few of us are lucky enough to start out with anything other than salaried work. We all start with salaried work. My first job was kind of in an illegal catering company in the back of a van delivering Indian food when I was 15. That was my first organized job. I had many jobs before that. I had paper routes. I washed dishes in the cafeterias. So I've done them all. I've done all those jobs, right? So I've done salaried jobs, and you have to start with shitty salaried jobs. You got to work your way up. What helped me work my way up was I just hated these jobs, so I wanted to do something better. I wanted to do something more intellectual. So I kind of earned my way up into better and better and bigger jobs. But it was only when I got to Silicon Valley that I got educated on the kind of the value of owning a business and getting out of a salaried job, right? And so that is super important. Everybody should aspire to that. So let me see if I can come up with a good example, right? Let's talk about the real estate business for a moment. It's like a very real, tangible business, right? So the worst kind of job is, you're someone who's repairing a house. You're like a construction worker, right? So maybe you get paid $10, $15, $20 an hour, and you have to go to people's houses, and you have to go there at a specific time. You have to show up at 8 a.m. and your boss demands that you're there, and you kind of just repair little pieces of the house, right? So here you have zero leverage because it's just whatever you're doing with your own hands. You have some accountability, but not really. Your accountability is to your boss. It's not to the ultimate client. It's not to the owner of the house, and you don't have any real specific knowledge. The things that you're doing are bare labor that almost anybody can do. So you're just not going to get paid a lot. You're getting paid minimum wage plus a little bit for your skill and your time, and depending on where you are, and that's kind of it. The next level up might be the contractor, right? The general contractor who's working on the house for the owner. That person, they'd be getting paid, let's call it $50,000 to do the whole thing, and then they're paying the laborer $15 an hour, and they're keeping the difference. Okay, so that's obviously a better place to be, but how do we measure that? How do we know that's better? Well, we know it's better because this person has some accountability, right? They have some accountability because they're responsible for the outcome, so they have to sweat it at night if things aren't working right. And then they also have some leverage, and they have not a great form of leverage, but they have people working for them, that's the labor, and they have a little bit more specific knowledge, and that knowledge is how to organize a team and make people show up on time and how to deal with city regulations and those kinds of things, right? Well, the next level up from that might be a developer, right? Now, a developer is someone who is going to actually go and buy a crappy house, and then they're going to hire a bunch of contractors, and they're going to build that house, and they're probably going to take out a loan to buy the house. They probably don't even have the money themselves. They go to investors, they raise the money, then they buy the shell of a bad house, they tear down that house, they rebuild it, and then they sell it. Now, a good developer could make, instead of $50,000 like the general contractor or $15 an hour like the laborer, the developer might be able to make $1 million or $500,000 in profit when they sell the house for more than they bought it for, including the expenses and the construction. But now notice what's required from the developer. Very high level of accountability, right? By the way, someone just asked me, Naval, already get taxed? Actually, no. Very simple answer to that is people like me are highly globally mobile. We leave. So what taxing capital does is it causes capital flight. Taxing entrepreneurs reduces entrepreneurs. The United States' loss is somebody else's gift. So I'm not worried about me. I'm worried about my kids. I'm worried about the next generation who wants the American dream to stay alive. Anyway, going back to my example, the developer takes on more risk, more accountability, has more leverage, and needs to have more specific knowledge. They need to understand fundraising. They need to understand the ins and outs of city regulations. They need to understand where the real estate market is headed and whether they should take that risk on or not. So, that's a difficult one. And then the next level up from that might be someone who's running a fund on real estate. And that person has an enormous amount of capital leverage, and they're dealing with lots and lots of developers, and maybe they're buying huge amounts of houses and inventory. One level above that might be a company like Open Door that's writing code to buy inventory of and carrying a massive book of houses. So you see at each level how increasing leverage, increasing accountability, increasing specific knowledge, adding in money-based leverage on top of labor-based leverage, adding in code-based leverage on top of money and labor, allows you to actually create something bigger and bigger and get closer and closer to owning all the upside and not just being paid a salary. So generally, when you're working in life, yes, you start as a salaried employee, but you essentially want to work your way up this stack that I just talked about to try and get to higher and higher leverage, accountability, and specific knowledge. And the combination of those over a long enough period of time with the magic of compound interest will make you wealthy. How do you work your way up? I mean, I hate to say it, but you just do really good work for a long time, and it is thankless until people recognize you. It's the nature of these things that nobody recognizes you for a long time, and then everybody recognizes you all at once, like all the opportunities hit you at once.